I do no harm to myself, my family, my community, other families or communities who live in peace and unity with others. I am protection.
There are a number of things that parents should know about preventing childhood sexual abuse. And one of the key factors is that people are often confused about the nature of child sexual abuse. A lot of people think, okay, I'll teach my children about stranger danger. Well, stranger danger is not really the biggest issue with child sexual abuse because 90% of people who commit crimes against children sexually are people that their families know, that they trust, either family members or neighbors or caregivers or people who are within the proximity of the family and close to them, so not strangers. So, this idea of preventing your children from talking to and engaging in conversations with people that they feel uncomfortable with, that they don't recognize, that could be very helpful to teach your children boundaries with strangers. But it is not necessarily going to be the biggest key in preventing childhood sexual abuse. And so when you're looking at childhood sexual abuse, you're looking at being mindful about who the caregivers are for your child. Knowing specifically that your child feels comfortable with the caregivers. Tuning into your child regarding how that relationship is going with the after school care, with the before school care, with the neighbor who might be helping out, with the friendly adult that lives in the neighborhood who the kids go around. Just really being tuned in to those who are in close proximity, people who you would otherwise trust and not expect anything to be happening with. And not in a way to be overly suspicious, not to just assume that somebody's trying to hurt your child, but to just be aware and conscientious about who you allow into your child's space, who you expose your child to on a regular basis, and that you're specifically aware that that relationship is comfortable and appropriate. And should there be any question about it, that you investigate about it, that you ask questions, and that you make sure that you're sure that nothing difficult, challenging, uncomfortable is happening for the child in relation to that adult. So you want to be assessing people who care for your child on a regular basis. And this is just the natural, normal, progression of parenting, and just to be more mindful and conscientious as your kids get older, to notice who they're around in the same way that as they started walking, you start noticing what's on the floor. And so just in that kind of natural progression. The other thing that's important to recognize is that if you teach your children about boundaries early on, if when they're of those ages where you're starting to let them out of your sight for long periods of time, that they know what an appropriate touch is and what's not an appropriate touch. That they can specify that to you, that they could say to you, oh, this is good touch and this is bad touch. That you're clear with them about that, and so that they know what a good boundary is to have with people who they're in an environment with and what's not. Sometimes children are unaware that it was completely inappropriate for a person to tickle them and sort of rub against their buttocks, or to, tickle them on the inside of their thigh, or even in the lower part of their stomach. That in general could be harmless, but that it shouldn't be excessive. The person shouldn't be constantly tickling and touching you in areas that are close to your private parts. And you could play games with your children. You could do a good touch, bad touch game where you show them what's appropriate and then show them what's not appropriate. Ask them if they know where their private parts are and what's a part that other people should see and be exposed to, and parts that they shouldn't be exposed to. Especially as children are growing, when they're young, they're unaware of their sexuality, obviously. They're unaware of their body parts. They're unaware of modesty and things like that. And so as you're starting to teach them just about their bodies, just about the world, that's a good time to be teaching them about, okay, this part of your body is something that nobody else should see except for, your parents and maybe your siblings if we're doing bath time and things like that. And letting them know whatever is comfortable for you, what your expectations are. This can be really key for preventing sexual abuse against children, because then they are clear about what's appropriate. You're clear that they're clear. And then you have open communication with them, so that when something happens, if something were to occur that they felt uncomfortable about, they would know that they could talk to you. They would know what to talk to you about, and that they would know that something inappropriate occurred.
So what exactly can we do? Talk to our kids so they'll tell us if something questionable ever happens. It might feel difficult or uncomfortable to have these conversations, but there are ways to do it. We start when they're young. We explain what their private body parts are and that no one can touch them. We tell kids to tell us if someone tries. No secrets. And as they grow, we make sure they know they can talk to us, so we can help them recognize if someone crosses the line. We talk at home, at school, and with everyone who cares about kids, until talking about preventing sexual abuse isn't a big deal. It becomes as natural as wear a helmet. It's just how we talk to keep kids safe. Guess what happens next? Our children can grow up to be the best they can be. We can all work together to protect our kids from sexual abuse if we talk and listen.